Hello, welcome to my channel. Today I will be reviewing for you an African violet called Apache Midnight. It was hybridized by Lenora Munk and J.C. Munk and registered with the African Violet Society of America in 2003 under the registration number 9227. I hope I pronounced the last name correctly. It's spelled with a U, so it's either Munk or Munk. So please correct me if I pronounce it incorrectly in the comment section. Lenora Munk and J.C. Munk from Texas, United States are very well known in the African violet world, in particular for having produced the Apache series and the Rodeo series of African violets. J.C. Munk passed away in August of 2011. He and his wife Lenora were the owners of the African Violet shop in Houston, Texas. This particular hybrid, Apache Midnight, is the only Apache variety I currently have in my collection. They're all very beautiful violets, and I hope I can acquire some more Apaches soon. I received this variety as a leaf pot at my local African Violet Club in Thousand Oaks during my very first club meeting in February 2019. The leaf produced 2 plantlets, and currently they have grown into young plants, and this is one of them. Apache Midnight is a standard variety with variegated dark green, white and pink wavy foliage. The variegation just started showing in the center. It was not very well pronounced in the young leaves, and I will be removing the young leaves soon. I can remove this one right now because they're becoming pale and they're just draining the energy from the young plant. So it's recommended that you remove the very first leaves. But let's examine the variegation in the very center. You can see that the pink variegation is now showing at cooler growing temperatures in the winter season. It's a standard variety, and at this point it has grown to about 10 inches in diameter. Its rosette measures about 10 inches. It started blooming quite recently, and I wanted to share the first blooms with you because they're so spectacular. The flowers of this variety are described as semi-double, dark purple-burgundy large pansies with white frilled edge. I hope the camera conveys the darkness and the depth of the color correctly. They are very, very dark purple, and I think the name speaks for itself, Apache Midnight, because they're really dark as a dark midnight. I think the color on camera of what I see now is lighter than what they are in real life. In real life, this is the darkest African violet variety in my collection, except for one, for Max Basic Black with Pearls, which is not blooming right now, so I can't show you in comparison, but I can assure you this is the darkest variety, the second darkest variety before Max Basic Black with Pearls out of those varieties that I have personally seen. The flowers have white frilled edge, and it started showing as the temperature started cooling down. I believe the very first bloom didn't have the white edge. Yeah, it's right here. It's the oldest bloom, and it's already fading away. I just left it in so I could show you that that one didn't have the white edge, or barely had it, but the new ones definitely show and the white edge and bloom true to color, true to specifics of this hybrid. The fully open blooms reach about 2 inches in diameter, and they're rather large blooms. And here they are in comparison to a dime coin. So they are truly large, beautiful, stunning blooms. The bloom stalks on this variety are not long. They're rather short bloom stalks, and so they keep the blooms close to the foliage, close to the rosette. Normally I like tall bloom stalks on African violets, but I like this variety nevertheless because it has such stunning foliage, and the blooms, the color of the blooms is very, very special. This variety is growing under a combination of LED artificial light and natural light on the west facing window, with the temperatures ranging from 65 to 79 Fahrenheit and the humidity around 50%. And here's what I have now. The humidity is slightly lower than 50, it's 48, and the temperature is 68. It's going down to as low as 66. So we're definitely in the cooler growing temperature season, and therefore we can see white pencil frilled edge on the blooms, and also we can see the variegation developing in a more pronounced way than it grows in the summertime, because some standards have a tendency of losing variegation during warm growing temperature. I keep all of my plant stands under a fan running 24/7 to protect my plants from powdery mildew. And I grow my plants on wicks, and so this variety is also grown on a wick. And we can see already some roots showing. I don't know if you can see here. So it's time to repot it. It's currently in a 3.5 inches in diameter pot, but because it has grown to up to 10 inches, and the pot size is recommended at 1/3 of the size of the rosette, it's a good time for me to repot it into a 4-inch pot, I believe, from the 3.5-inch pot. So it grows on a wick, as I mentioned, and as do all of my African violet varieties and other gesneriid plants. I use half of the 4-ply acrylic yarn, so I split that yarn in half and use it as a wick. And for my wicking liquid, I use plain water that I let stand for a couple of days in an open reservoir, and I add to it 1/4 teaspoon of the fertilizer that was recommended in my African Violet Nerds group on Facebook. And it's the Dina Grow fertilizer at 7 nitrogen, 9 phosphorus, and 5 potassium ratio. And I also add a couple of teaspoons of 3% hydrogen peroxide to my liquid to prevent the formation, the development of algae, to keep the water clean and not green. So that's the wicking routine that I maintain with this plant and with my other plants. So here it is again, Apache Midnight by Lenora and JC Munk. I hope you enjoyed this plant. I love this variety, and I will always keep it in my collection. Thank you all so very much for watching. If you like this video and would like to stay tuned to my future videos, please subscribe to my channel and give it a thumbs up, and I will see you again on the next episode of my African Violet reviews.